Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So I felt like this video needed to be made, and it's about the truth of natural bodybuilding regarding, is it really fucking worth it? What's the point? Would I ever do it again? How hard is it? Was it rewarding? So I'm going to really cover all those topics in this video because personally for me, my experience with natural bodybuilding, I'm pretty discouraged, and I'm not really sure if I would ever do it again. So the first thing I want to touch on is the amount of size that you lose when you're prepping for a natural bodybuilding show. Now granted, I'll admit I probably overdid it, and I probably prepped a little harder than most people probably would because I felt that I needed to overcompensate. I thought I was way out of shape, so I tried to lose a lot of extra weight, and I ended up getting down way lower than I ever intended to be. The lowest I ever wanted to get was 155, and I ended up on stage at 143. And that's a number I've thrown out in a lot of my videos, so a lot of you guys know that because I'm kind of proud of that number. The fact that I was able to work that hard and diet that hard to get that low of a weight, I'm kind of proud of it, but at the same time I'm ashamed of how fucking small I was. I mean, 143, that's what girls weigh. Like, I've been training for 10 years and my stage weight was 143. So that's the first thing I want to touch on, is that your weight where you're shredded is a lot fucking lower than you think it's going to be. When I competed in powerlifting and I bulked up to 220, I thought my shred weight, the weight that I would get down to where I'm shredded, I thought that was 190. I thought I had gained so much muscle when I got up to 220 naturally that when I get down to 190, I thought I was going to have a six-pack, I was going to be ripped and vascular and everything. So I cut down to 190 from 220, still fat. So I'm sitting there at 190 thinking, man, if I could only get down to 175, 180, I would be shredded to death. So I get down to 180. I'm not really fat, but I'm still like, I don't have like a ripped six-pack or anything. And keep in mind, I'm 5'9" when you're applying all these weights. So I'm like, all right, man, if I get down to 170, there's no way I'm not going to be shredded as fuck at 170. So I get down to 170. I kind of have abs, kind of have the four-pack. I'm still not shredded. So the lowest I go initially before I start prepping for the show was 165. That's the lowest I've ever gone before I did the prep. So 165, I thought that was like lean as fuck. I thought that was like the limit for me. So when I planned my prep for my show, I was thinking, you know, maybe a little under 160 would be like the lowest I could even push myself. But those final weeks, man, I just kept pushing harder and harder and harder. And then by the time I cut out water and dehydrated, I got down to fucking 143, and that's what I weighed in at. And it was just, I mean, it was just crazy. So that's the first thing I want to touch on. If you've been lifting for 10 years, you're probably when you're bulking, you've been lifting for 10 years, you're probably getting up around the high 180s, maybe in the 190s, and you're probably not looking fat. You're probably looking pretty good. But you got to realize, man, when you cut down to show conditioning as a natural bodybuilder, you're going to lose a ton of size. And even though I've kind of bulked back up, I'm close to 180 right now, I still feel like I'm nowhere near, you know, where I was when I was 180 before. My arms, they're not nearly as big as they were the first time I was at this weight. Now I'm kind of recomping my body, and a lot of what I'm gaining is water weight and fat. But before, I had muscle when I was 180. I was a big 180. You guys have seen the pictures on my channel. You've seen all the videos. But now that I'm gaining my way back up, it's very depressing, the rebound from a natural bodybuilding show. And yeah, I've got the trophies. That's cool to have the trophies up on my wall. I've got the pictures hanging up. I've got the memories of competing. And that's all well and good. I like having the trophies. They look awesome. I like having the pictures to look back at to remember, you know, this is what I was able to achieve. My dad was a bodybuilder, so, you know, he was able to show me all his bodybuilding pictures. So now I've got some bodybuilding pictures to show my kids. But bodybuilding naturally, man, the rebound just fucking sucks. Gaining weight back, you feel like a fat piece of shit because you are so lean for so long. Once you get off that diet and you start gaining that weight back, initially it's just depressing because anything, you know, every pound you gain from that initial super ripped state, you think you're just getting fat, and it just sucks gaining that weight back. But I know I need to do it because I know I need to get big again, because I don't really ever want to be in the 140s ever again in my life. Like I said, I've been lifting for 10 years. Who would have thought that my stage weight would be 143? And really, it probably was somewhere in the 150s, but I kept going and I kept pushing it too hard to where I probably just started burning off muscle like crazy. So I probably lost at least 10 pounds of muscle in this transition. And I did a 3-month cut, so I probably lost, you know, a good amount of muscle, and I do regret that. So I do have the regrets of losing muscle. It does suck being depressed after a natural bodybuilding show. You know, you don't get any money from it, so there's definitely no money in competing in natural bodybuilding, so that's not even an element of is it worth it. Is it worth it for you to prove it to yourself? Yeah. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I proved to myself that I could do it. I'm glad that I proved that I was dedicated enough to do it, that I was, you know, I could stick to a diet, I could stick to the training, I could, you know, just tough out the whole thing. So I'm kind of glad in that aspect that I proved to myself that I could do it. But like in some of my videos, everyone's like, dude, like all my recent videos where I'm showing the stage picture and stuff, it's like, dude, you got so fucking small for that show. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, I just don't even know what I was thinking, man. They're all like, dude, you got so much smaller. You look so much better when you were bulked up and big. You looked way more muscular. You were way stronger. You looked better. And I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, you're right. I lost muscle. I lost way too much muscle. So I do regret the way that I prepared for the show. Do I think I could have done it any differently? Not really, because the expectation for a natural bodybuilding show is that you're going to be shredded to the bone. So no matter what, I probably would have pushed the diet too far. Because I would be afraid of looking fat on stage or whatever, so I probably would have pushed it too far regardless, and I probably would have lost a lot of muscle, you know, no matter how I prep for the bodybuilding show. But that's about it, guys. The truth about natural bodybuilding is it sucks. It's depressing. It's a long road. You train for 10 years just to be 140 something pounds on stage. I'm 5'9" again. You think you've been doing something for 10 years, man, and you cut down to what you weighed when you were a freshman in high school, and it's like, what the fuck? So you just got to realize a lot of the size and a lot of the muscle and a lot of the strength that you're putting on through these years of training in natural bodybuilding, a lot of it is going to be water weight. A lot of that is going to go when you cut out water. A lot of it's actually fat, and you're going to be surprised how much fat it actually is. And a very, very small amount of it is actually lean muscle mass. So you're going to be surprised when you cut down, you're a natural bodybuilder, you get down to that lean muscle mass, you're going to be like, man, this is all that I've put on. So that's just it, man. If you're out there thinking about doing a natural bodybuilding show, I highly, highly recommend you do your research first, and you try to plan out a prep the best way that you can so that you maximize the diet. You can keep on the maximum amount of muscle that you possibly can, and that you're not, you know, the last 6 weeks, you're not like, oh shit, and then you're dieting super hard to try to make up lost ground like I did, because I got down to 6 weeks out and I was like, fuck, man, I gotta go hard now. So my advice to you guys is don't cut too hard, do your research, and be prepared to get small. You know, don't be afraid to get small. If you're gonna do a natural bodybuilding show, you're gonna commit to this natural bodybuilding thing, you are going to get really fucking small, you're gonna get really fucking flat, you're gonna get really fucking weak, you're going to feel really fucking depleted, and that's the fucking truth about natural bodybuilding. It's not glamorous. You're going to put on Protan for like 3 days. You're going to stink. It's going to be itchy. It's going to suck. You're going to be weak. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be tired. You won't be able to sleep. You're going to wake up with cold sweats. When you get out on stage, you're going to be nervous as fuck. You're going to feel the audience looking at your naked body in a thong, pretty much. I mean, the whole experience is just an awkward, weird thing that humans have kind of invented, this sport where we get as muscular as we can, diet down, get as depleted as we can, we get down into our underwear, get on stage in front of like 1,000 people, and then we start flexing our muscles, and then judges are going to judge us based on how good we flex our muscles. I mean, the whole thing is just a weird conceptualization of a sport. It's just a weird thing that we've invented. But overall, I hate to say it, but it was fun. I do think the experience was a good experience. I do think it was fun, but I wish I wouldn't have lost all the muscle that I lost. So I hope you guys took something away from this video. If you're thinking about doing a show, if you're thinking about staying natty, if you're thinking about trying steroids, this or that, my only advice would be just think about it, do your research. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.